freedom. Freedom is a mindset thing. Once you get your mind correct, you will find your freedom. And how to do that? How do you find your own freedom? What does freedom mean to you? What are all those rules you have in your mind about what freedom is? When you know inside what is it that freedom is, then you know everything in your world. I'm going to tell you a story about a bird. And the bird had a friend, and this friend was together with this bird. And so let's give them names, Tommy and Sally. So Tommy and Sally were just looking at the cage, that they could just see this cage in front of them. They were like, whoa, I don't feel free right now. And they're looking at the cage. They're like, whoa, there's so much cage in here. So much cage. And the wires. And they studied it. And they know everything about this cage. And they want to get through it. How do they get through it? And if you're a person who's looking from the outside at this cage that they're looking at, and you can see them looking at this cage, and you are there and you're seeing them looking at this cage, and you tell them, just turn around, just turn and look at something else. Look at something else. Why? Because you're not surrounded by the cage. The cage is the start to another. That's there. The cage is here and the bird is here. So they're actually looking at a cage that's outside of themselves, and they think that they're stuck in the cage, and they don't really know their own reality. And their own reality, if they knew, and if they were looking from the third person perspective, they would see that they were actually outside of the cage, but they were looking at the cage, and they studied it, and they thought that that cage was everything they needed to get through. But sometimes we put obstacles in our own way, right? And so when you study this cage and you make it your best friend, and then you become so identified with it, it's like how we identify with our problems, and it's our cage, and we take it everywhere we go because we can't do without this cage. But if you just looked and focused someplace else, you would realize you didn't have anything to do with this cage. It was there, yes, it was in your peripheral, it was in your area, it was around you, here, around, but it wasn't around them, encapsulating them. The idea of it encapsulating them is something that they made up, because all they could see when you put your hands here is the cage. So sometimes you just need to look away. Sometimes you just need to focus something else. And then you'll notice when you start walking and you're moving forward towards that, what you're walking to, something else and not the cage. Then you start making progress, and then you realize, ooh, my life isn't about the cage anymore. My life isn't the cage at all. And you disassociate from the cage. And you start stepping towards your goal, which is in the other direction. And you go, whoa. Now that, my friend, is transformation from the inside. Just changing your focus. It sounds so easy, and it is, because once you start focusing on what you really want, your life changes. And guess what? Then you will realize you had wings all this time, and you could have flown anywhere you wanted. You didn't just have to go to that goal. And now you discover you've got wings, and you can fly anywhere in any direction and up-level yourself anytime you want, anywhere you want, because you changed something else. You changed inside here. So I welcome you to another day of beatitude, of freedom, of thinking differently. Come and join us to think differently, to think beyond, and look at something else. Focus where your energy goes. Focus there, where you know. Usually people say focus and your energy will go there, but I'm saying wherever your energy goes, focus there, because your real energy is something very powerful. And I shall talk to you soon.